Very excited to be here again today on another online webinar of Product Community Greece. Welcome everyone. It's our last one for this year. We'll reconvene again when we're back next year. Very excited for more stuff that are coming. So I'm gonna start with a brief intro for what we do. I guess many of you have been back here, which is great, and hope we get some new faces around here today. So Product Community Greece, first of all, you can find us on LinkedIn or on our LinkedIn page and our LinkedIn group. Very happy to see you there and interact, and as well as our meetup group. So you can make sure you don't miss out on any kind of new events we organize. You'll get notifications firsthand. So a bit about the community and what we do. As you guys already know, we're all about bringing product people together, especially the ones working in Greek companies or Greek product managers abroad. Very happy to connect with people also working in companies abroad internationally. And our aim here is to share knowledge and, circulate all this kind of wisdom, let's say, that's accumulated within the community. We want to get to know each other, interact, and share all the kind of knowledge we have within the community. That's what we're all about. So we really want to build this kind of networking platform. Even we are persevering through online events, as you guys can see. Some of you may remember our online, like our physical meetups, but I think we're still going strong in the online world. Very excited to see you participate in that as well. Some very exciting things some of you may have seen in our LinkedIn page. We have been announcing new things. So when we came back from our summer vacations, we sat down with the Product Community Greece team and we said, what more do we want to do for the community? How can we serve the community in a better, a stronger way? So there's a couple of more actions that we are focusing on. So first of all, we launched our website very recently. Some of you may have already gone there and seen we have published our past event recordings there. We will keep doing online webinars once per month, like this one today. We are also starting our blog. I'll tell you a bit more about it right on the next slide. And we're planning to launch some monthly interviews, which I think will be very exciting for us to get to know more of the product leaders in Greece, what they think about product management, what product management is like in big Greek companies. So I think that would be great also to showcase that in our blog. And also make sure you follow our LinkedIn page. We are sharing a lot of curated product management resources there. So make sure you check that out so you don't miss out on anything. So briefly about our website, we just launched it. Just make sure you go on there, and we are also launching our blog. So I think it will be great. We really want to showcase the kind of knowledge you guys have. I know a lot of you already write articles and posts around topics you're passionate about. So ping us, the team, send us an email, message on LinkedIn. We'd love to share your content. So this is an open call to all of you. We really want to showcase that kind of knowledge we have there. Now, moving on, our sponsors, Orpheum and LearnWorlds, they've really enabled us to have today's webinar, to make our website. So shout out to them. And here's our team. Many of you already know us. Myself, Olga, Yannis Papikas, product at Orpheum, and Kalia Kypriotaki from LearnWorlds. So hit us up on LinkedIn as well. We'd love to chat with you guys and see how you can contribute more to the community. Now, before we start today's webinar, as you guys know, we always have big chunk of our time to answer your questions at the end of the webinar. We know you always have very interesting questions, so make sure you go to Slido. We'll share the link as well here in the chat. So make sure you can scan the QR code or go to slido.com, enter the code here to submit your questions throughout the event, and we'll get to them when we're done with our presentation today. And without further ado, we're very excited about today's speakers and the company we're hosting and the topic they're gonna talk to us about today. So today we have the product team from Upstream, one of the early international successes from the Greek tech scene. So we're very excited to have today Katerina, Vangelis, and Danai from Upstream. They're gonna talk to us about a topic we have discussed a lot here in the community as well, a lot about prioritization, and I think it will be very interesting to see prioritization in the larger context of a larger company with more stakeholders, etc. So they'll share this kind of wisdom with us today. So thank you very much for being here, Katerina, Danai, Vangelis, and the Upstream team. Very excited to have you here. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Olga. Let me take control of the screen and start sharing. You can see my screen, right? Perfect. So hello, everyone. My name is Katerina Matthaiou, and I'm leading the product innovation team for channels, advertising, and marketing platforms. On Upstream side, we also have Vangelis Iliakis managing the technical product team on the engineering side, and also Danai from the product innovation team responsible for our marketing platforms and growth specifically. We're going to get into detail about that. Before I start, I would like to thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you all for joining the session. I will speak on behalf of the rest. We are very excited to be here tonight as we're going to present our experience on a very challenging task in the product manager's life, which is of course the ongoing battle to define and maintain the product roadmap, keeping a balance between product vision and different incoming requests. So let me start the presentation. And before we get into the details of the prioritization, I would like to do a very brief introduction on Upstream, our products, our ecosystem, because I believe that this will help you better understand who we are, what we do, and most importantly, where our challenges in prioritization come from. So Upstream, for those who are not familiar with the company, is a leader company in mobile technology for over 2 decades. We have presence in more than 45 different countries in Latin America, Africa, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. And we're interacting with more than 1.2 billion consumers around the world. Through our products, we help businesses grow their digital reach, and we offer to them the toolkit to optimize user experience, increase engagement, attract new customers, and boost their revenues. Currently, we work with the biggest names in telecommunications and also with brands from different industries like insurance, education, FMCG, and retail. Now about our products. Our proposition is quite diverse, and it is a blend of technology and marketing expertise, productized either separately but also as a combo, and I will explain what I mean. So splitting the product portfolio into two big categories. On one hand, we have technology offerings. Such are platforms and technological infrastructure covering multiple needs. And under this category, for example, we have Grow, our customer acquisition and engagement platform. Grow can be used for marketing and communication campaigns from different customers, internal and external ones. We also have advanced technology for the enablement of different channels and mobile advertising, platforms for security and user authentication, and a set of different digital services for subscribers of mobile network operators offered in various forms, like a mobile website or an application, for example. At the same time, Upstream is offering marketing services enabled by our platforms and by our technology. Imagine this as practically a combo of media and performance managed by Upstream, but built on and empowered by our technical infrastructure. Under this category, we have tech-enabled performance campaigns, both for mobile network operators and advertisers, and for different purposes. Such could be CRM campaigns, brand awareness campaigns, lead generation, and rewarded campaigns. Since we don't have time to deep dive into the different products, I have selected a few representative UIs so that it is easier for you to visualize the products and get some context about how they look and what they are. So on the technology front, on the left, you can see Grow. This is our marketing platform, which is offered as a SaaS to customers and also used by our internal marketing teams for multi-channel communication campaigns. On the right, you can see some indicative channels and advertising technology examples that we have in our portfolio, like 0D, the captive portal for users of mobile network operators running out of data, 3D, which is our data rewards platform for incentivized advertising, and our CS, our latest addition in the channels that we enable and offer as part of our technological stack. And at the bottom, a few UIs of the different digital services that we are offering to our customers, mainly in Africa and Southeast Asia. On the other hand, here you can see the tech-enabled marketing flows that I mentioned earlier. You can see here two indicative examples. On the left, we have a mobile flow for upgrading online the mobile plan of subscribers of a mobile operator. This is an example from Brazil. Such flows are built using Upstream's technological stack and can include a lot of complexity since various integrations and automations are required to enable them. So we are not talking about a simple flow. There's a lot of complexity and technology behind it. And I want to clarify at this point that Upstream undertakes the management of such projects end-to-end, from the design, development, hosting of the flow, to integrations with external systems, media management, and ongoing performance testing and optimization. And the same applies to the example you see on the right. This is a lead generation advertising flow for one of our customers. And to mention here that this flow has the peculiarity of giving a reward to users completing it. And this takes place through Upstream's rewarding platform, 3D. Before I close my part, the intro, I will take a few minutes to give you some context on the factors that shape the Upstream ecosystem. This will help you understand all the different parameters that affect our decision making and the way we prioritize our product roadmap, because as we will see later on, there are a lot of different factors and parameters making the whole story a crazy task. So to begin with, as you saw, our product portfolio is not simple. It doesn't consist of one product or even one category of products. There is a set of many different legacy and more advanced ones, some being B2B, others being B2B2C. Some are more productized, others require more customizations. All these different products are being addressed to different types of customers from completely different industries, of diverse geographies, cultures, with different technical limitations and completely different needs. And on top of them, we also have various R&D initiatives that are being tested in order to give birth to new products and help the evolution of our strategy. And as you understand, all these utilize the same available resources. Now, apart from various products, we also have various stakeholders. Product innovation and technical product managers are, of course, the gatekeepers of the roadmap. Two different product teams working very closely together and defining the product strategy and technical feasibility, respectively. But apart from them, there are additional stakeholders, like our customers, internal commercial teams, performance and operational teams. All of them are generating a very high number of requests. And these requests are frequently competing with our product vision and are often custom for certain projects. And we do have many projects in Upstream. So putting all this together, we end up with thousands of different options to choose from and the challenge of finding the proper way to do it. And at this point, I will pass to Danai, who will get into more detail about why prioritization is necessary and which are the different methodologies to approach the issue, passing them to Vangelis that will deep dive into the upstream way. So thank you on my side.
Thank you, Katerina. Hello from me as well, everyone. I'm Danai. I'm very excited to be here as well. So without further ado, I'm going now to deep dive a bit further on how prioritization can become the tool that helps everyone stay on track and can help us provide focus on what should be delivered. So as product managers, daily we're facing many challenges and we have to make various choices. First of all, we have to ensure product delivery. So we have to decide what to build or what to build next, which is one of the most critical parts of our job. We need to provide focus on where resources should be assigned and when resources should start working at its task. So establishing key priorities helps to ensure that the right things get done at the right time. And every time we need to ask ourselves, what is the thing that matters most? Secondly, we have to make sure that the most important work is timely delivered while maximum business value is ensured. This is the ultimate goal for everyone, but it can also be the daily struggle at the same time. And finally, we need to provide focus on what should be delivered. So deploying prioritization methods to our day-to-day work is actually an essential tool because it will promote productivity, business continuity, and valuable product development. So what are the key actions that our role can take in order, no, Katerina, just back up a bit, sorry. So what are the key actions that our role can take in order to promote successful product delivery? First of all, we need to set the long-term vision and strategy for the company's product. Secondly, we need to communicate this strategy to all of the relevant participants and stakeholders. And then we need to support the productivity and promote valuable product development. So typically the primary tool we can use to accomplish these key roles will be a product roadmap, which is actually a strategic high-level visual document conveying the why behind the products we're building. And prioritization is key when delivering a product roadmap. So going to the next slide, when defining a product roadmap and in order to use prioritization efficiently, it is very important to have in mind the following three main skills. We have to be transparent, we have to keep the balance, and we have to gather intelligence. So let me deep dive a bit on these skills. When talking about transparency, it is very important to be able to explain why we chose one item versus the other to the various stakeholders. And being able to explain this means that we have actually clearly determined this for ourselves as well. So we need to be able to say no, but we need to explain why we say no in terms that stakeholders understand. Then we need to prioritize while balancing the needs of customers and stakeholders. So regardless of the company size or the budget, we will always face limited resources for product development. So that means that we will always need to prioritize and keep in mind what is important for our customers, for the rest of the company stakeholders, and for the product itself. And finally, we have to follow an evidence-based decision-making model. Here, there can be two ways. If we have user data, customer feedback, and metrics on our product, then we already have an excellent source of intelligence to inform us about how to best build our product roadmap. So we can let analytics guide our decisions. If we don't have data yet, there is no need to worry. There are actually plenty of other ways to gather useful intelligence about our product, our customers, and the market. We can ask our customers directly. We can study our competitors' products. We can read online communities or comments on the competitors' products, and we can study research reports from various analysts. So remember that when it comes to prioritization, there are three main tools to deploy: strategy definition, pipeline creation, and plan execution. As a first step, we need to define the strategy that we will follow to address the market. Here is when we need to look around and see where we are versus the competitors. We need to understand the trends. We need to see the potential regulation. We need to understand the company goals and then define the priorities within this context. Then we need to select the initiatives, epics, and user stories that we will put into the build pipeline. This is the observation point of what customers are asking. We need to hear our internal teams, and we need to filter all these requests towards increasing the product value. And finally, we need to have a game plan. We need to consider the execution and the sequences. So at this point, we will be deciding whether we want to go after a particular KPI or if we want to put resources working towards product expansion for future scalability. We need to understand the interdependencies and synergies between teams. We need to maintain a healthy backlog and deal with the most important features first, of course, and we need to use our resources efficiently. So to do all these things, we can either use an already existing model, or we need to develop convincing criteria that will form our own prioritization technique. But before going into adopting a model or developing a prioritization technique that will help us build the roadmap, it is very important to define the decision drivers. This is actually the point where we need to ask ourselves, where am I going? So what is my product vision? How am I going to get there? Actually, what will my key metric be? And why am I going there? So who are my target customers? In our case, the main decision drivers for our prioritization approach are product initiatives, which are mostly led by where we want to take our product versus the market. Value versus complexity. This is our key metric for the moment, as we have a quite heavy product backlog, commercial feedback, and end user feedback. And depending on the product, the weight of this criteria in the prioritization process is changing. So after having determined why and how we can prioritize, the next big challenge becomes the what we should prioritize. Because when it comes down to it, prioritization can be difficult. So in our case, the challenge we are facing and we're continuously trying to improve is the definition and constant evolution of our product roadmap. As Katerina mentioned in the beginning, we have a quite complex ecosystem with various stakeholders and many requests. We have constantly evolving products and a wide product portfolio, and all of these things are competing against the same resources. So now I will pass on to Vangelis to tell you more about Upstream specific case and how we do it.
Thank you, Danai and Katerina. Just a quick hello from my side as well. So before deep diving into the specifics of backlog and roadmap prioritization, I would like to provide some additional context about the platforms and the ecosystem of Upstream. This will help you understand the next slides. Upstream is having a rich set of platforms in the areas of marketing and engagement automation, subscription and billing management, security for digital marketing, and other connectivity tools. There is a set of platforms offered as software as a service to telecom providers and large enterprises. Katerina and I already mentioned about Grow, which is our new flagship software, offered as a software as a service to many customers around the globe in order to configure and schedule marketing campaigns with a rich set of automations for retargeting. In addition, there is another set of platforms used by internal teams to deliver services in the context of business agreements and projects. So as you can understand, the diversity of platforms and stakeholders makes prioritization of new features and improvements quite challenging. Considering also the fact that development, testing, and DevOps resources are not fully dedicated to specific products, we have to manage a very complex ecosystem. Katerina? So in the end, who is driving our products? In this section, allow me to introduce you to the teams and the roles that generate ideas and identify the business needs for our products. It's product innovation, the team that Katerina and I are part of, technical product, operations, and commercial teams, which provide input for new features, improvements of the platforms. We also work hand in hand with our customers to collect valuable feedback and accommodate change requests for the different platforms. However, we must not forget, capacity is specific and it must be used efficiently. Therefore, all the requests that must be prioritized and be time-boxed so that they can be delivered to serve business needs. The prioritization exercise in Upstream is orchestrated by the technical product team. Currently, the team consists of 8 product managers responsible for specific sets of platforms. The close collaboration and alignment with all stakeholders is the key to streamline the delivery of the platform features, keep stakeholders happy, and serve business objectives. So, the planning process across many software platforms has a central point of reference. It has been referred by Danai as well, and this is the product's roadmap. This is the guide for all the development actions that need to take place within the year. In Upstream, the first step to outline the product roadmap is to engage stakeholders to add all their items in the single repository. In this slide, I have provided some quick screenshots so that I can visualize in a, let's say, easy way how it looks like for us. Now, in order to have a measure of priority, all items are associated with specific factors. It's revenue increase, customer value, strategic value, implementation effort, operational cost, risk, and urgency. We assign to each factor a weight, and then a final score is calculated for every item. Highest score signifies that the specific item precedes in priority against the rest of the items with lower scores. Then, as a next step, the technical product team, in cooperation with development teams, estimates in high level the effort for every item and executes a demand versus capacity exercise to identify with stakeholders which items will be targeted for each quarter. Following this approach, we are able to have a baseline view of the roadmap beginning of the year with more clarity for the items of Q1 and Q2. This is a process that we usually do in every year. We get the items from the previous year that are in progress, combined with the new requests, and we are trying to produce this baseline so that it can guide us throughout the year. Now, having the baseline of the roadmap ready, it's time to start the execution. The execution phase is done with a very frequent meetings among the stakeholders on a weekly basis, actually, where we meet and align on priorities for items to be analyzed and be added for development. The execution plan for every item is split in phases. We have the analysis phase, where we analyze the request, we understand the business needs in a more granular way. Then we proceed to technical design, development, testing, and deployment. Each phase is monitored in terms of effort and time schedule by the technical product team, and adequate communication takes place with all stakeholders. Development and testing are planned on weekly or bi-weekly sprints, depending on the teams and platforms. Now, for urgent requests, the technical product team must act as fast as possible to identify impact on the roadmap, align with stakeholders, decide the way forward, and communicate the potential impact. You understand here, of course, that our communication streams within the company are many. We talk to almost all the company departments. We're trying to align with all the teams, escalate when needed, and actually keep all stakeholders informed about the status of the requests, along with the effort spent for every request. Now, our real-life experience has shown that the roadmap is not a static map. It will change, and we must be always prepared for the changes and accept the new challenges. So in this context, we have a quarterly review of the roadmap among all stakeholders. Again, the technical product team orchestrates these meetings, and we gather all together. We check the existing items, the status of the existing items. We add new items, which are frequent. We have a lot of new items within the year. We rearrange priorities. We rearrange expected delivery timelines. And all these are based on strategic and business needs. This is a very intense process for the company. Apart from our weekly meetings for selecting the items we will work on and checking the priorities, these quarterly review meetings allow us to change our map depending on where we want to go and what we want to achieve. So no matter the changes, when it comes to the roadmap, execution and prioritization, stakeholders management is the key. And for Upstream, it is a vital item of high importance. And this is where we focus a lot in order to be able to keep all of the company aligned on the objectives and the way we will manage to achieve them. We need to be open, transparent, and build collaborative relationships in order to have stakeholders as partners for roadmap realization and success. This is our way in Upstream. We work together to face challenges and get our vision one step forward. So that's it from my side. Thank you all for attending this.
Great. Thank you so much for the presentation, Katerina, Vangelis, and Danai. We already have quite a few questions flooding in. So everyone in the audience, go to Slido. We already have some questions there. Add more. We have quite a few time to address them. I'm going to share the Slido screen right now so we can start going through your questions. You can also upvote the ones that are already there and definitely want answers. So you can see my screen with the Slido questions, right? Yes, awesome. Great. So let's tackle our first question from Adonis. He asks, do you prioritize equal feature effort for all your platforms, or does prioritization include the decision of EG whether to focus only on one platform for a quarter?
I will take this, Olga. Thank you very much. So as I presented earlier, every quarter includes items for all of our platforms. It's not only one platform per quarter. Actually, we have more than 10 platforms that we need to maintain, develop features for, improvements, and so on. The effort that we need to spend on the features, as presented earlier, is part of the high-level estimation exercise we do in the beginning of the year. And the same exercise happens in the end and beginning of every quarter so that we can rearrange priorities, shift items in different quarters depending on the business needs, and of course, based on the demand versus capacity exercise I referred during my presentation.
Great. I'll have a follow-up question here. So your team is structured around the platform? So do you have teams dedicated to each platform and they can, accommodate like the backlog for each of those platforms and the roadmap, or do you move them around based on the needs? How does it work?
The technical product team has specific members, 8 members currently. Every member has a set of platforms assigned to it. So he or she is responsible to handle the backlog for the specific platforms. And then we have some teams, development teams dedicated for some platforms, but most of them are shared between platforms. And we have, let's say, teams that need to handle backlog items for different platforms.
Awesome.
And
Great.
to
Yes,
add to what Vangelis is saying, this also applies to the product innovation team that is formed around propositions and split not necessarily under platforms, because there may be an extra complexity of platforms or in one proposition, but around propositions with dedicated product managers.
Okay, so I think the one part of the answer here is there's quite enough people for you to be able to work in parallel tracks for all the platforms, right? Great. Let's move on to our next question. The question is, how do you handle, urgent requests that come during the quarter because you have, like you make your roadmap. You talked about a bit about it, Vangelis, already in your presentation, but if you could walk us a bit through if you have any kind of established process that you use to handle those kind of incoming requests.
So the process that we follow is that the request, first of all, just to make it a bit more clear, in our company, we use Jira as a tool in order to be able to track the requests and cooperate all together. So when a new request comes within the quarter, it needs to be raised through some Jira tickets, and these tickets are handled by the appropriate technical product manager. The first action towards this is that the technical product manager will need to understand the need and along with the development team, identify the high-level effort that is needed in order to deliver. Then this goes in the backlog of roadmap items and need for the quarter, if the item needs to be delivered within the same quarter. And of course, this has an impact because, as I said earlier, we have an quarterly exercise of demand versus capacity. So we identify the impact. And then on our weekly prioritization meeting, in alignment with all the stakeholders, we are trying to check if it can be accommodated. If not, which items must be shifted, and so on. Now, in cases, because this question can go further, in cases where we have conflicting priorities, which is common and it's reasonable since we talk about many platforms, many different areas. Then there is an escalation path within the company, and decisions are taken depending on the business needs and the strategic value that each item can bring us.
Mm-hmm. Great. I think the next question is quite related to what you were already saying. So could you tell us a bit more specifically, because you talked also in your presentation about the stakeholders you engage in the prioritization process and again in your reply. So could you give us some examples of maybe some stakeholders who regularly participate and then some others who are drawn in on a case-by-case basis?
Of course. So the main stakeholders in our company related to the prioritization process is, of course, product innovation team. People that generate the ideas and are good requesters. Katerina knows. It's operations team. Our operations team delivers projects based on the platforms that we build. So they have an immediate interaction with our customers. They receive requests. They on their own, they have ideas for improvements and so on. We have the engineering team represented by the technical product manager in each area for specific optimizations or additional actions that needs to be performed. So main stakeholders in these prioritization meetings. Apart from that, we have also commercial teams that may request change requests or new features from the customers. And of course, other teams within the company related to performance and technical support and so on. It's a consortium or a committee, if you want to say, of more than 10 people that we're trying to align, get decision, and actually set the path for the roadmap for each year.
So in the weekly prioritization meetings, you mentioned you do all these people participate?
Correct. Of course, it depends on the items that we want to deliver. Not everybody is having items to bring on the table on a week-by-week basis. But as we go within the year, as you can understand, the items are getting more and more. So the committee is there to accommodate.
Great. Next question. Given that you work for external customers, is there any room for experimentation prior to defining a product solution?
Katerina, I can take the answer if you want. It's mainly, in your field.
Yes, I can take the answer. Of course, feel free to add anything additional, Vangelis. So due to the nature of our products, having experimentation and real testing on actual users is not always feasible. However, we are trying to do so whenever possible. So, of course, we are doing a lot of research. Also, as I explained, we are trying to understand what are the trends, what is the competition, and what are some best practices. But whenever possible, we are also trying to do some testing based on certain prototypes with specific users as close to our end customers as possible in the region, usually consisting of people close to us. So relatives in the offices, in the regions where we are having, or friends of them, creating a circle of people that could be a potential audience for our products based on certain criteria to test the products and decide whenever we are having conflicting views on what it is that we want to release. However, I want to stress out at this point that part of Upstream's DNA across products, performance, all different aspects is testing real thing, the real thing after it is live. So a lot of feedback is coming after our product is live. And we are trying to constantly be bringing improvements and changes in the products even after we have released them. So this is more or less the methodology that we are following.
Great.
Katerina's comment, sorry, Olga.
Yes, of course.
In cases where we have a good relationship with our customers and we want to test new functionality, new features or even get some performance metrics, we cooperate also with our operations teams and our commercial teams in order to be able to set up some POCs and get valuable insights for the different initiatives that we want to launch. So this is another way of approaching experimentation to the different product initiatives that we have.
Mm-hmm. Another question from Elizabeth. She asks, how do you measure the effort of a new feature initiative? Do you add a buffer for unforeseen complexity? Do you write requirements before you estimate? I think estimation is a very hot topic always for product managers. So if you have any specific kind of process or criteria that you use, I think it will be of great interest.
Of course. As I said, in the beginning of the year, we collect all the items and we provide some very high-level effort estimation. To answer the second part, if we write requirements before we estimate, in this process of the very high-level effort estimation, we don't write that analytical requirements so that the team can provide a more concrete effort estimation. The exercise that is done in the beginning of the year is to provide a sense of what items can fit in each quarter based on the capacity and the demand that we foresee. Now, this is done on a quarterly basis, as I've said, and it's a very high-level effort estimation to set a view of what we expect within the year. It cannot be accurate. We all understand that. But it's something that gives us a path. Now, on the weekly prioritization process, we select some of these items that can be analyzed by our technical product managers. In this case, in this process, we will have the analysis phase where each technical product manager will start working more thoroughly on each item. He will add use cases, communicate with the stakeholders to understand all aspects of every item, and then discuss with the team about a more granular effort estimation in terms of development, testing, and so on. Once analysis is finished, this more granular phase, let's say, then we proceed to a more low-level technical design so that we can break down the development tasks to be added in sprints for delivery. So this is how we work, and this is how we roll our work through the year on a week-by-week basis. Usually, we add the items in weekly or bi-weekly sprints, as I've said during my presentation, and we try to align the timelines that we deliver with the ones that have been requested as part of the roadmap.
And for estimation, do you use story points or something else?
Usually, what we do for the very high-level effort estimations, we estimate in terms of days, and then we map the range of days to low, medium, high, and so on, 4 or 5 categories. But when we provide the more granular analysis, we provide more accurate estimation in days. Okay.
All right. And let's go to the next one. Could you give some examples of the data that you use for prioritization, and what kind of metrics do you have to track effectiveness, which you talked about in your presentation?
So for prioritization, as I've said, we have some factors, and we usually collaborate with the stakeholders in order to add some values in these factors. So as I've mentioned, we have how important is an item for a customer, what revenue do we expect, what is the strategic value for the company, what is the implementation effort, what will be the operational cost, and so on. Of course, all these metrics have a range between them, and the range is agreed among stakeholders within the company and are used in order to drive a score so that we know the scale of priority each item has. Now, with regards to effectiveness, it depends on the item that we work on. Metrics that we have for the effectiveness are, in many cases, the acquisitions that we may have for an item, that the time we save for an operational task, in case we have an improvement requested for a platform. Even costs for the infrastructure or the platform, let's say, expenses and so on. This is tracked on a case-by-case basis, and it's a part actually of the input that we require in, as I said earlier, the JIRA tickets that we request from our stakeholders to add. We have in our review meetings with all the stakeholders for the most important items, not all of them. We review measures of effectiveness, usage, and so on. I don't know if you want me to provide more examples.
I think you gave quite a lot for anyone who asked the question. If you want more detail, let us know in the chat. We'll happy to get into it. I think Vangelis already gave quite a few examples of the kind of metrics you use on a case-by-case basis. I think you also answered this already, but if there's anything else you want to add, what kind of criteria do you use for your prioritization process?
For the time being, the criteria are actually the revenue expectations, customer value, strategic value, implementation operational effort. Implementation effort, for example, is driven by the exercise I mentioned earlier. Operational cost is something that is, let's say, evaluated among discussions with stakeholders. Risk for different items. All these factors are considered so that we can have the priority for specific items.
Great. And which tools do you use to keep track and communicate your prioritized list? And I would also add your roadmap, because you mentioned it, especially in the beginning, how important it is to be transparent regarding the vision and the direction, so you can also handle requests, etc. So I think it would be interesting to see also from the higher level of the strategy, if you have any kind of systems and processes, and then down to the list and the roadmap. How do you communicate that?
So we use two main tools. We use JIRA, class in JIRA, so that we can track the requests. For collaboration within the company and ease of use, we use Google Sheet. So we have our own, let's say, developed roadmap G-Sheet file with some automations and some clever stuff on this tool. These are the main tools that we use. Of course, Slack for communication. Yeah, I think these are our main ones.
Great. We have another question from Costa here. How you would collaborate with colleagues and bring design engineering PM into all kinds of conversations and equations you have talked about so far?
So collaboration is something that we embrace in Upstream, and actually we cannot move forward without it. For me, as the person that is managing the technical product department, this is of primary importance. I mean, every technical product manager in my team is responsible to bring everybody on the same table, even though we understand that there will be conflicts and different priorities. The main goal here is to be able to deliver the best outcome for the company and drive the vision forward. So having this in mind, the difficult part of our job is communication and stakeholders management. I think this is one of the primary difficulties that everybody is facing. This is where a lot of effort must be spent. We are the link between business, engineering, and other commercial teams. We need to make them all understand and talk to the same language, which is not easy. Now, in terms of processes on how we do it, as I said, we have different phases to approach a problem. The first one is analysis. So the technical product manager will need to engage all stakeholders or requesters on the same table to understand the need. And then we'll need, the same person will need to talk to the engineering team and start bringing them together. He's responsible to facilitate the whole discussion, and he's responsible to be, to make conflicts a bit easier to handle between the teams. And the end goal is to find the best solution with regards to time, effort, and the value that you will get. So it's on this role, even whether we like it or not, to make this happen, and then split down the tasks so that we can deliver the best possible outcome. I don't know if you need to elaborate more on that. It's only a matter of the job that we do and what we need to deliver. So it's one of our primary tasks. Make everybody collaborate so that we can deliver what is expected.
I would also like to add, if you have finished, Vangelis, on the specific item and specific question, and bring some upstream specific flavor into it. Add more stakeholders in the question. Obviously, the question is how we bring design, engineering, and product into all equations. But as we said before, there are more stakeholders and more decision makers and more requesters. So one of the reasons why we have also a dual structure in our product teams, product innovation and technical product, is that in order to be able to bring more stakeholders and what they are requesting into all these discussions. So on our side, on product innovation side, whenever there is a request affecting performance coming from performance teams, either regional or more strategic ones, or whenever there are requests coming from more commercial teams, it is in our role to be filtering what they are requesting and making sure that they are represented, but they are presented in a way that it makes sense. In the same way that technical product is in close collaboration with engineering to have a feasibility analysis there and make sure that whatever we are trying to implement can be implemented in the proper way. So what I'm trying to say is that we are having different teams communicating with different stakeholders, and all together we are making sure that we make the right decision, having everyone represented in this forum.
Great. So we're done with the audience questions. I have a question which also might help us summarize. So I think it's very impressive, and we don't usually get to see that that much, having so many different teams and different platforms that need to coordinate. So we're talking about a bigger scale here. So my question is, well, based on your experience and the way you work so far, what do you say is the #1 highlight differentiator that makes this all of this process work for Upstream? Would it be, you talked about communication and stakeholder manager, Vangelis, already, but I'd like to know, what's the #1 thing, like the best thing you believe you are doing that if you would take it out, it wouldn't work as well?
Yeah, I think it's the people. Simple as that. I mean, no process can work efficiently without everybody being involved with the same interest and giving as much effort as possible so that we can collaborate all together and deliver the best outcome. So yes, I believe that for Upstream, it's the people. Okay. Great. I think it sounds like kind of a recruitment pitch also to finish the webinar, which is great. So thank you very much to the Upstream team. Again, Katerina, Vangelis, Danai, it's been great to have you here answering all our questions, giving us, kind of a different perspective from a different context and scale. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We will upload this recording as well in our YouTube channel. As you know, this is our last webinar of the year. So happy holidays to everyone. Keep an eye out on our page. We have a lot more things coming your way, and again, please get in touch. We'd love to share your content, your resources as well. We'd love to showcase the members, all of the members in the community. So thank you so much again. We meet again with the new year. Thank you again to Upstream team, and see you guys soon. Bye to all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.